Money is collected for issuing an appointment letter for the teachers. You think the teacher is going to turn up at the school? Because he has the protection of the patron who is very influential and nobody can touch. Do we expect our schools to perform? Not at all. I went to a school in Lorelei, girls' school. I said, where is the science teacher? Oh, sir, she has been transferred to Quetta. Okay, why has she been transferred to Quetta? Her children are studying in Quetta. Her husband is also in employment in Quetta. So there is no science teacher here, no. Not only that, she has transferred her post to Quetta. So when I reached Quetta, I went to that school. There were 5 female science teachers sitting and knitting the sweaters. Because there were only 30 girls, and there were 5 science teachers, one from Lorelei, one from Avaran. They had all carried their posts along with them to Quetta because they were all politically motivated. Now you tell me, our backward districts will ever get ahead of Karachi, Lahore, and Islamabad if this is the condition? So I go to Rahim Yar Khan, basic health units. One basic health unit is being run by a compounder. Where is the lady doctor? Oh, she's in Multan. Where is the male doctor? He's in Lahore. They just come and collect their salaries and then they go away. Where are the medicines? Medicines have all been exhausted. They were all sold in the black market. Look at the energy sector. There is a difference of 500 billion rupees every year between the purchase price of discos and the revenue they collect. Why? There is theft, there is losses, there is inefficiency, there is corruption. And I can go on. Our SWI Southern and SWI Northern had only 4% unaccounted for losses. Today, OGRA has allowed them 15% unaccounted for losses, which translates into 400 MMCFD LNG imports. Look at the losses we are getting. You go to any irrigation channel in Sindh, because I've served in Sindh at the grassroots level. At the canal head, the big zamindar is getting 4 to 5 times more water than he requires and floods his lands. And the poor Hari or land owner at the tail end, who is not very influential, is looking for water. Just look at the productivity at the tail end and the productivity at the head. Just changing that water distribution, and they're not paying for it. The Abhyana charges in Sindh now account for 10% of the total O&M cost, operation maintenance cost. When I was in finance department, we used to recover 100% of the operation maintenance cost from Abhyana charges. Taxation. You know better than me how much manipulation and how much discretion is in the hands of the lower functionaries. You can have a high duty good being classified as a low duty good, and the money is translated. That's why organized sector is shrinking and the disorganized, unorganized sector is expanding. So I can go on and on giving you examples that if you peel the onion, the core of that onion is the rotten governance system in Pakistan. We may have very good policies, extremely good plans, statements of piety, but it boils down to a very decaying institutional framework. So where do we go from there? That is the diagnosis. As I said, I failed to convince the policymakers for across the board reforms. So my second best solution is that there are some key institutions for growth, for equity, for security, and for the delivery of services and accountability. So I identify 24 such institutions in order to completely restructure them, where selection will be based on merit, resources will be given to the head of the organization, who will be provided operational autonomy. There will be a contract signed between the government ministry and the CEO as to what the targets are and what are the penalties if the targets are not met. And the performance will determine the compensation. And there will be an oversight committee of the parliament which will look at these institutions. Which are these institutions? And we may all differ on these institutions, but I want to share my own proposal, which I think will make some difference over time. Nothing will happen overnight, because even restructuring these 24 institutions is going to be resisted by vested interests, because it is a switch from a patronage-based politics to a good governance-based model. So the accountability, transparency, and oversight institutions are the parliamentary committees. The parliamentary committees today are not playing the kind of oversight over the executive branch as they ought to be doing. They are either very parochial and political in nature, but they don't get in. Even the Public Accounts Committee does not distinguish between substantive financial irregularities and corruption and the procedural or the pro forma irregularities. Everything comes to the parliamentary committees. Auditor General of Pakistan, who is supposed to be the custodian of public money, and the professionalism you guys know much better than I do, is residing in the clerks, and the officers really do not know as to what is really audit is all about. National Accountability Bureau, either you have a very timid National Accountability Bureau or a very overextended, which creates harassment among the civil servants. You need a National Accountability Bureau which is professionally run, but which is overseen by a parliamentary committee. Election Commission of Pakistan, it has to be independent, autonomous, can decide who is the candidate who fulfills all the eligibility criteria and can contest elections. Federal and provincial public service commissions. I passed the Public Service Commission at a time when we even didn't dare know as to who the members are. Today, there are chits going from one politician to the other that this is my nephew, this is my niece, this is my brother's son, and they oblige them because they are appointed on that basis. Information commissioners under the Freedom to Information Act. A citizen has a right to know as to what the government is doing. And India has done the Right to Information Act, where you can access information, because transparency requires information. And the e-government and the provincial IT departments. If you put all the rules and the manuals on the website, a lot of corruption will disappear. We used to have a thriving black market in the foreign exchange manual. The first thing I did was to weed out all the old circulars and the rules, updated the foreign exchange manual, put it on the website, authorized the banks to approve the foreign exchange. No approval required by the State Bank of Pakistan. That is what is really required, is bringing in technology in order to become transparent. For security, you have to completely revamp your police departments, your prosecution departments, your prisons, and lower judiciary. Because cases are pending there for 15 years, for 20 years. And that is causing a lot of heartburning and injustice among the people. When I went to SWAT after, they introduced the frontier regulations, the people were saying we need Qazi courts, because Qazi courts were very quick in dispensing with justice. And here, under these new laws, we are waiting for years altogether in order to get justice. So our justice delayed is actually justice denied. For economic growth, you must have an autonomous State Bank of Pakistan, professionally run, Securities and Exchange Commission, a Higher Education Commission, a National Science and Technology Commission, completely revamp the Federal Board of Revenue, the Trade Development Authority of Pakistan, the Board of Investment, and Competition Commission of Pakistan, so there are no collusions and there is no insider, information manipulation which takes place. For equity purposes, you have to completely change your irrigation departments. They are putting Pakistan's food security at risk, but also they are also creating inequities among households and among provinces. So we have Pakistan Agriculture Research Council, Benazir Income Support Program, Karachi Development Authority, Lahore Development Authority, CDA, Faisalabad Development Authority, Hyderabad Development Authority, and the National Vocational and Technical Education Commission. These are 24 organizations and institutions. If you tell the politicians that please do not meddle in the affairs of these, do not ask your own people to be appointed into these organizations. Let the head of the organization have a tenure for 3 years and cannot be removed, but he has accountability for results. Give him the resources. He doesn't have to go on seeking permission from one ministry to another, and, and the whole year ends and he cannot produce results. If you do these good governance practices, a change will come in, but it will take some time for these islands of excellence to transform themselves into a sea. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saab, for your very detailed and evidence-based research on the economy of Pakistan. I think on a lighter note, I would just say that we accountants, many of us sitting as accountants here, are familiar with the materiality concept. I think you applied that concept to the economy of Pakistan. And let's break for tea and the Asr prayers for 15 minutes, right? And we'll gather again for the panel discussion.